Hello everybody and welcome back to the Alpha Blog channel, your main source of news for fight news and pop culture news. My name is Techno and today we're here with the breakdown of Barbie versus Emily Brooke on the Kingpyn semi-finals in Dublin, Ireland.
Bruh.
Okay, that was a pretty terrible Irish accent, but my point is we're going to be here breaking down Emily Brooke and Barbie for their fight, and let's start off with Barbie. Obviously, Barbie is going to have a massive advantage for being 6 foot, so she's naturally going to have the reach advantage. But if there's one thing we've noticed in influencer boxing is that a lot of people don't seem to want to be able to use that jab because they're more focused on getting into brawls or getting up close. And we did see that a lot in the fight where Barbie just constantly was getting into these brawls and not really using her jab much. And it wasn't really like her fault in the terms of like her opponent was a sitting duck and just didn't move her head enough, which obviously meant she was going to get tagged more. But if you're gonna be 6 foot, using your jab is going to be your strongest weapon. And yeah, you can do that against a Michelle who is just going to stand there and let herself get hit constantly. But if you're going to go in there with someone who potentially has more power, like let's say like an Elle Brooke for example, like you're gonna get hurt, and if you don't use that jab to keep your distance, you're gonna get tagged a lot and you're gonna get hurt. And if there's one thing I can safely say about influencer boxing is that you don't want to hurt yourself too badly, because if you are seen to have no defense, you're gonna become an easy target for the likes of like the top guys or top girls in the sport. So like you need to take yourself seriously now and focus on just defense. And also, in the case of Barbie, just keep the jab out. But when we go into the fight, like it just was so easy for Barbie. Like her opponent was just constantly leaving her head like just stood there, head not. She didn't move her head off the line, and just allowed Barbie to keep landing the shots. And obviously, since Barbie is naturally taller, like it's gonna be more difficult to hit her. And her opponent tried, I'm pretty sure tried to get in there, but it just wasn't good enough. So that's something that her opponent is probably going to be focusing on in the case of Barbie, is that she doesn't seem to understand the fact that she has the range and she has the possibility of just sitting there and jabbing away, because it's easy for her because she's 6 foot tall. If she used to go in there with Emily, like she's gonna potentially get hurt, and I'm hoping that that's something that she understands going into her fight against Emily. But one thing I can safely say is though, like naturally in influencer boxing, cardio obviously is not their strong suit. Like you could see in their fights, like they get tired, so they get tired very easily. By the third round, you can see them breathing, their punches are becoming more sloppy, and it's not a fun time. And going into the 4th and 5th round, you can see Barbie just was not fully there, and her opponent I don't think was really there either. Still game, but just not fully there, as in like with the 1st or the 2nd round. And that's all I've really got to say for Barbie, is because a lot of people are impressed by her. I'm impressed with the fact that she's 6 foot and she has the reach advantage, but I'm not fully impressed because your cardio isn't exactly the greatest, and you went in against an opponent who just didn't move her head and just allowed herself to get hit. So if Barbie is to go in there and really show some improvement, she'll get my props, but for now I can't really give her much props. But for now, we move on to her opponent, Miss Emily Brooke, who's the sister of considered the best female influencer boxer, Elle Brooke, and she went against Amber O'Donnell. And going into this fight, I didn't really understand either woman, and I didn't know what they were good at or how well they were going to do. But when I was looking into this fight and I was watching it live, you can see like both women did have pretty good shot placement and was able to land the combos, but not exactly the best technique, obviously, because new to boxing and they don't understand it properly. But Emily landed some really good shots against Amber. Not fully powerful, but definitely some good shots. And I think she did pretty well with some feints. But going into like this fight with Barbie, like she has to be able to smother her opponent and get up close, because Barbie is naturally going to have that reach advantage. But Emily does seem to be pretty comfortable going forward, but she does, just like with Michelle, she needs to keep her head like off the line. And I can safely say that if you get hit in the head, it hurts a lot. And similar to Barbie, if you're gonna get into the sport of boxing, you need to also just move your head, because the more you get cracked, the more damage you're gonna have done to you, and the more damage you've done, the more likely it is the ref is gonna call off the fight. So if I was the coaches of both Emily and Barbie, head movement and cardio are definitely going to be the most important aspects to improve on, because if you go in there without good footwork or head movement or good cardio, you're just going to tire yourself out, and it's not going to be a fun fight. And as influencers, the whole point is to influence people and entertain them, because that's their job. And if you can't do that, then we're not really going to be excited. But going back to Amber and Emily, like with this fight, it was actually a good fight, and Emily just clean sweeped. I had that fight 5-0, and she definitely looked impressive in terms of she had heart. She was willing to get in there and become more of a brawler and get up close, which is the way you're going to beat a Barbie, because taller opponent has the reach advantage. It's gonna be very difficult for Emily to win this fight on the outside, similar to what happened with Deji versus Alex Wasabi. Deji, when he got up close, he didn't like follow up. And when he slipped outwards. That's not what you want to do against a taller opponent, because you're just gonna let them have their advantages, because in the terms of the range and the jab, and that's enough to win fights. And if I was to bet on this fight, obviously cardio and head movement are going to play a big factor. But the way I see this is, Barbie is 6 foot and has the reach and jab, so she's able to win this fight on the outside, because she will just be able to move around, jab her opponent, and then win by points. And she has to be careful. If she does decide to become a brawler again, she has to be careful and be able to get in and out without taking too much damage from Emily. And similar to Emily, if she wants to win this fight, she has to get up close and just try make it a dog fight and try hurt Barbie, because she ain't winning on the outside, as we saw in Deji versus Alex Wasabi. So if you were to put money on this, you'd either go with Barbie by decision or Emily by a possible TKO, and that's just my opinion. We at Alpha Plug are not affiliated with any of these companies or any of these fighters. I'm just here to make predictions on what I see. So that's all I can say to you guys. Thank you everybody for watching. All our socials be in the description below, at Alpha Plug on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And we'll be here with plenty more news in the coming days, and coming up with more fight breakdowns and potentially some fight interviews later in the week and for fight week. So we'll see you then. Goodbye.